It is a truth universally acknowledged that a gardener in possession of plants must be in want of space. There may be prejudice of best-laid plans that go awry. Nonetheless, when seeds arrive and great expectations for secret gardens mount, space must be had at any cost. Otherwise, things fall apart. To ensure an abundant harvest, you will need ample space for growing seedlings. A shelf is the thing. See how I built a simple and elegant shelf, literally from the ground up, using 3 pieces of 8x1s with no waste, and discover that shelves are not just good for books. You will need 3 pieces of 1x8 lumber. I'm using the standard 8-foot boards. A chop saw makes cutting the boards easy and safe. Grab a 4-foot shop light and use it to measure out the length for your shelves. It needs to be a couple of inches bigger than the light so that the light fixture will fit inside. Cut the first board using the chop saw. Don't forget to use eye protection. This design will use all of the wood and leave no scraps. From the first board, there will be a longer piece, a bit over 4 feet, that is a shelf, and a shorter one, which will be the side. Use the first piece as a template to cut the other 2 boards in the same manner. You will be left with 3 bigger shelf pieces and 3 smaller side pieces. Grab 2 of the smaller pieces and measure out the position for the shelves at 3 15-inch segments starting from one edge. Use a power drill to make pilot holes so you can attach the shelf pieces to the side pieces using drywall screws without splitting the wood. Any true cabinet maker will wince at this, but this method is fast and strong, and for me, it will do. To save time, I'm pre-drilling the sides all at once. Even though I'm working in subprime conditions, I do like to be efficient. I like to place the screws halfway into the pilot holes before positioning the other board underneath. This makes it easier, especially if you're doing this by yourself. Remember, safety first. Carefully attach the top shelf to the side piece where you've placed the pre-positioned screws. Try to keep this at a 90-degree angle. Sure, using a proper workshop space with a proper woodworking bench and proper wood clamps would make this more agreeable. But alas, all is well that ends well. At times, drywall screws can go wild, but don't worry, it's all in the taming of the screw. Continue attaching the other 2 shelves to the side piece. This design holds 3 fluorescent lights, allowing you to stack 6 trays of seedlings where you could only fit 2 before. If you're in a tight budget, you can scavenge for scrap wood or use plywood cut to size. When you become a gardener, you will find your house flooded by plant starts. All the area around windows will be taken, and you will try hard to coax spindly seedlings into production, only to be disappointed. You will need a better system to start plants conveniently and cheaply indoors, because unless you can produce better and cheaper seedlings than your local big box garden center, you just won't do it. It must make economical sense. It must be worth it. Flip the work over and attach the other side piece in the same manner. While this doesn't need to be precise, you do want the shelf pieces to be very close in length. Otherwise, you will have a really hard time attaching everything together securely, and your finished shelf will be wobbly and unstable. The center will not hold. While sunlight is the best source for growing plants, usually windows do not provide enough exposure. Using supplemental lighting such as fluorescent will remedy this. You will be able to produce stronger and more vigorous seedlings that transplant better into the garden. To shore up the shelf, making it more structurally sound, I add reinforced pieces to the corners. Using the leftover shorter side piece, I divide it in 3 equal parts of about 14 inches each. Draw out a diagonal through one of the pieces and make a curved pattern. This will yield 2 curved pieces. You could use triangles to shore up the sides. but I feel the curved lines add interest to this shelf. I secure the board with clamps so that I can safely cut it using a jigsaw. Remember to always use eye protection when cutting wood. When you work with a jigsaw, take it slow. It is not good to force the blade into cutting the board. Let the blade do its own thing and slowly guide through the cut. Hold it firmly so that it won't veer off the line with the machine's trepidation. After doing this to the 3 pieces, you will have 6 curved pieces to work with. Using the same method as before, pre-drill pilot holes in the straight edges of the pieces. Put the shelf face up on the floor and place the corner pieces where they should go. Secure them with drywall screws. While this method is fast and easy, there is a trick to it. You must ensure that the pilot hole is centered to the edge of the board you're trying to attach. If the hole is too close to the inside or outside edge, the screw will miss the board and either crack it or be exposed. You might also want to install wider feet to your shelf to give it more stability without having to fix it to a wall, making it freestanding. A piece of scrap wood you have laying around will do. Just pre-drill pilot holes and secure it with screws. In little time, you will have a finished, sturdy, and cheap shelf to have your grow lights and sea trays. You can paint it or decoupage it if you want, or just use it as is. It should be light enough to carry around, small enough to fit in small spaces. This way, you too can make your garden grow. In a future episode, I'll show you how I use this shelf to grow my seedlings, so stay tuned to Suburban Homestead, and don't forget to subscribe.